This is chapter 38, almost the end of the book, and this one centers around Carol.
At age 80, Bob Higgins added another line to his resume.
Carol was the writer.
Author.
I wasn't the writer.
But to tell their story, Bob had to be.
My wife died 3 years ago, but some friends urged me, "You're the only one that knows this whole story. You should write it down."
So he put pen to paper.
This was a slice of ministry we could not have anticipated.
To document he and his wife Carol's 14 years of mission work in Uganda.
That Auntie Carol's early morning broadcast reached 700,000 listeners.
The retired teachers moved to the East African country in 1999 to run schools of ministry.
That was our focus. That's all we thought we'd be doing in Uganda, was just training these pastors with this curriculum.
They'd soon add a few more job duties to their international missionary work.
We had signs put up on rope for triage.
Like starting a mobile medical clinic.
And they were just dressed in absolute rags.
Then there were the children.
This is where this rebel activity was going on.
A chance meeting with the pastor, who was protecting orphans from a militant warlord, led to a turning point in their work. But first, Bob needed a little spiritual prodding.
We don't have any infrastructure for this. We can't be their sponsor. And so I turned to Carol and said, "Carol, we don't do orphans." And hence the title.
Turns out, they did.
My wife presented me with a scripture. And in the New Testament, there's a book of James. And in that first chapter, it says something like, "True religion is caring for orphans and widows in their distress." And she said something like, "Well, what do you think about that?" And I thought, no fair. How am I supposed to argue against a scripture like that?
Otinawa was born.
Otinawa in Luo is our children. So this became our children's village.
A successful orphanage led to a school.
They needed to learn to read, how to write something.
Community development projects.
We had improved the spring.
Supporting hundreds of children in a region prone to conflict.
It's still going strong. They're doing well. It's carrying on without us.
They retired again and moved back to Central Oregon in 2013. Carol's passing, leaving Bob to write their story.
We had 54 years of married life together and found that we still liked each other, still loved each other.
Love, the very thing they shared with people 9,000 miles away.
Well, we had a few experiences, that's right.
Experiences Bob relives with vigor.
There were a few snakes.
Stories Tater the dog has probably heard before.
Okay.
Reflections of time well spent, laid out across the pages.
And printer.
In Tumalo, Steve Kaufman, Central Oregon Daily News.